Imagine jumping straight into high-stakes cooperative dungeon runs. No grinding, no fetch quests, no waiting around in town for a raid group to form. Just you and your team, facing intense battles, scaling difficulty, and clutch moments where one perfect play can make or break the run. This is the core experience of the concept which Fellowship is introducing to the gaming community. Fellowship being an upcoming game that throws out the traditional MMO rulebook and focuses purely on what makes dungeon crawling exciting. Instead of being a side activity in a massive world, dungeons are just the central focus of the game. But Fellowship isn't just another RPG, it's pioneering a new genre. One that streamlines MMO-style dungeons into fully fledged experiences of their own. It's called a multiplayer online dungeon adventure, or a MODA. Looking at the acronym MODA, you might be asking, what exactly is the multiplayer online dungeon adventure all about? Well, it is a new term that is encapsulating a specific type of cooperative online gaming experience. Unlike traditional MMOs, which require long-term investment in character progression, world exploration, and social interaction, MODAs seem to be focusing purely on dungeon running mechanics, offering instant action, strategic team play, and an accessible pick up and play format. Fellowship is one of the first games to fully embrace the MODA concept, taking the in-game dungeon experiences from MMOs and making them the entire focus of the game. Instead of leveling through a world filled with fetch quests and side content, players are just going to jump straight into team-based dungeon crawling, similar to high-end content in games like World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy XIV, but without all the MMO baggage that usually comes with that genre. Now, the concept of MODA didn't just come out of nowhere. It's obviously a natural evolution of existing genres, borrowing key elements from several different types of games. First of which would be MMORPG dungeon endgames, such as World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy XIV, or Guild Wars 2 as the biggest examples that you can see. And of those examples, the biggest influence that I'm seeing, at least when it comes to Fellowship, is the Mythic Plus dungeons that you find in WoW, or the Savage and Ultimate raids from Final Fantasy XIV. In these games, high-level dungeons scale in difficulty, they introduce new mechanics as players push deeper, and require coordinated teamwork. Fellowship mirrors this by offering party-based dungeon challenges with increasing difficulty and rewards as you progress through the systems. Unlike other MMOs, Fellowship is eliminating the grind of leveling, crafting, and goes straight to what many players love the most, which is that challenging PvE in-game content. A second thing that you see MODAs pulling from are action RPGs such as Diablo or Path of Exile. MODAs are incorporating fast-paced combat, loot-driven gameplay, and ability combos from games like Diablo 4 or Path of Exile. These games are known for their progressive difficulty scaling, such as like Diablo's Nightmare Dungeons, which Fellowship also applies to the dungeons that it is creating and offering to its gamers. MOBAs are another thing which you can see a pure influence being pulled from, such as League of Legends, Dota 2, or Battle Right. MOBAs are emphasizing hero-based combat, which each character has unique abilities and roles. In Fellowship, players choose from predefined heroes like monks or paladins, instead of building their own custom character from scratch. This structured hero system removes the complexity of MMORPG character building, while still allowing a deep mastery for the individual on those specific class states. Next, I would say roguelike mechanics from games like Hades, Deep Rock Galactic, and Gunfire Reborn are also very clearly seen in the MODA system. Many modern cooperative games feature run-based mechanics where each session is a fresh attempt at a new challenge. Fellowship is borrowing from this roguelites by offering short replayable dungeon runs that progressively increase in difficulty. The final thing that I can say that is an influence on the MODA genre is the live service games and battle passes, which will probably be incorporated with it once the system starts getting launched. This is, for example, Destiny 2 Helldivers 2 concepts of embracing that live service model, because MODAs can embrace this with maybe seasonal updates, leaderboards, and limited time content. Games like Destiny 2 have dungeon-based raids but require long time investments to get to that end game point, whereas MODAs seem like they are just going to cut out the fluff and go straight for the action. So in a sense, you can say MODAs are separating themselves from traditional MMOs in 6 major ways. First is the progression, which is offering grind-free action that is instant for players instead of requiring hours to level up a character just to get to that in-game dungeon grind. Second is character choice. They're just predefining heroes with distinctive roles and taking away the individual construction or additive that most players have had with MMOs and shaping the characters in a way that is more accustomed to them. They are now just being forced into predefined heroes. In terms of dungeons, this is going to be the main gameplay focus. It's not just one part of the overall experience, it will be the experience. They have streamlined the UI and accessibility, so maybe there will be no need for add-ons, because in the past other games have had very complex UIs that often need mods just to help you kind of maneuver and make the functionality of your character work properly. The time commitment is also going to be cut short because you are no longer going to have long 6-hour raid dungeons to have to run through. These are all just short dungeon runs that will take anywhere from 10 to a half an hour to complete according to the official release site on the Game of Fellowship. And finally, you're going to have just a strict multiplayer focus. So small scale 4-player co-op teams. There's not going to be that large scale persistent world that is found in other traditional MMOs. We are just going to be a quick driving force that is set forth to create a meaningful group activity that completes dungeons in a quick, rapid succession. Now, the future of MODAs in general is uncertain at this point. The Game Fellowship is testing the waters for a new subgenre to work properly. However, if it is successful, we will see more MODA-style games emerge, obviously, where dungeon crawling is just the entire experience rather than just part of the larger MMO sequence. Future games could integrate more PvP mechanics, seasonal rotations, even procedural dungeon generation to keep the content fresh. I know in Fellowship they are saying that the higher you progress in the dungeon levels, the more the bosses will have advanced skills that you're going to have to learn and choreograph around in order to be successful. So with Fellowship leading the way, the MODA could become the next big thing in cooperative online gaming, offering deep teamwork, challenging encounters, and the thrill of dungeon crawling without that boring MMO grind. What do you think? Leave a comment below and let me know if the MODA genre seems interesting to you, or does it seem too cookie cutter to be considered its own genre to begin with? Remember to like and subscribe, and stay tuned for all content that is new in gaming. Thank you guys. Have a great day.